he made $100 million, and he's his own boss. He can say and do what he wants to do, having a great team.
Yeah.
Because no one person can do it by himself. That was the core of the team.
Gotcha.
And it was a tremendous sacrifice, especially for me. I worked like 15 years straight, 7 days a week, 20 hours a day.
Wow.
That whole middle part of my life.
Yeah.
It didn't exist. It didn't exist.
And now you have this egg on your face and things are falling apart. And now people are wondering, did you get screwed, or was it your own financial ignorance, and now you're bitter?
People taking shots at a great fighter, Mayweather. Probably the same people that were, applauding him and saying how great he was at one point, and now they're taking shots at him like they're almost, like they get pleasure out of seeing a great fall. Potentially,
you're right,
fall.
but when you call yourself the money man, you do it to yourself a little bit too.
No, I can't argue with that.
Leonard Ellerbe recently responded to reports claiming that Floyd Mayweather had lost his alleged $1.1 billion fortune, explaining that the news was never unexpected from his perspective. After spending many years working closely with Floyd, Ellerbe personally witnessed the extravagant lifestyle he maintained and the enormous sums of money that were constantly being spent. In his view, those expensive spending patterns eventually became one of the key factors that contributed to the financial challenges that later emerged.
Saying from day one what it is that, and they know everybody laughed at me. They laughed at me. They say, he just talking nonsense. I've been told all.
Leonard Ellerbe explained that once a person reaches the extraordinary level of fame and achievement that Floyd Mayweather has, criticism naturally becomes part of the journey. Music, he believes the real test is not preventing negative attention, but knowing how to respond to it and handle it in the proper way.
Hey, when you're on top, when you're at the top, you can expect criticism. It just comes with success, and it's all about how you handle things. And me personally, none of it's personal. In
my view, none of it was ever personal. Leonard Ellerbe believes Floyd Mayweather had every opportunity to build a remarkably successful business empire. However, he feels that reaching that level would have demanded greater focus, stronger dedication, and more thoughtful decisions with a long-term vision. He went on to establish his own company, right?
Formed his own company.
Right.
But he was the first one that had a team surrounded by him, that our focus was the business and his focus was the boxing. And in turn, we built the brand, built Mayweather Promotions.
Yeah.
And Floyd became his own boss.
Wow.
And
he also claims that he has not yet received payment from that exhibition fight, stating that he is still owed the $1.5 million from Floyd Mayweather. This video was released around the same time as the ongoing dispute involving him.
He's still waiting on the 1.5 from Floyd Mayweather. He made this video simultaneously with the beef with Le'Veon, and I don't know, maybe it's coincidence, maybe it isn't.
Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao 2. The fight nobody asked for except me. I need this because if Floyd wins, he can finally pay me my $1.5 million. I don't care about the legacy fight. I don't care that these men have a combined age of 100 years. I care that Floyd Mayweather, the best boxer alive, uses those same hands that made him 100 million to Venmo me my money. And Floyd, if you're watching this, win it and pay me back, or I'm gonna send my goons after you. Gotcha. Hey.
I really don't know why I watched that. Yeah, listen, dude. Logan is, again, functionally a coward for not doing this. I was really excited for it, too. I couldn't wait. That was about to be content, son. But, I mean, okay, yes, I understand if he is under WWE contract, they're not going to allow him.
Teddy Atlas notes that a lot of the individuals who previously praised Floyd Mayweather are now mocking him, seemingly finding satisfaction in what they consider his biggest decline.
Like you said, he was Mayweather, Money Mayweather, and now he's suing because he went through his money, he blew his money, whatever. Look, I don't know what the truth is. fully in there. I know Steven Espinosa was named. He ran Showtime at the time. He was named him. I never was a fan of Espinosa. Again, I'm not afraid to say and not mince my words when I feel a certain way. And and I've taken arrows for it. And of course, I've also taken some praise for it. That people say, hey, Teddy's going to say what he feels. I was never a fan of him. I never thought he was a man that kept his word. I never thought he really did a great job over at Showtime. I mean, they put some good fights on because the fights were available, because the landscape made it.
WAC 100 insists that Floyd Mayweather is not broke at all, claiming that his true wealth is reflected in his peace of mind and in how he stays unaffected by rumors and outside criticism about his personal life and boxing career.
Is rich at right now?
What's that?
His peace of mind. When I send him things, like I send you things when it's pertaining to you, when he gets the time, he'll call me and he say, hey, Wack, what's that? And I tell him, he said, that's nonsense. He said, well, as long as they trying to figure me out, they not going to be able to figure out what they need to do. And he continues to move. I will say this without saying too much, that I've seen him pass on some big deals based upon the business he already has on the table. But again, I've been to his home. I talk to him regular.
Paulie Malignaggi suggests that if Floyd Mayweather Jr. had kept his money matters private, very few people would have questioned his financial status. However, he feels that the constant public showcasing of his wealth led people to take a closer look and raise more doubts about his finances.
Seeing how much Floyd was making, right? And Floyd himself was flaunting himself like he was the guy who was making that kind of money. And for all intents and purposes, I assume he was. Everybody assumed he was, and it seemed like he thought he was, because he wasn't complaining. He was showing off, you know? This is why, as I get older, I feel like, and everybody always tells you this when you're young, like, keep your finances private, you know, and this is why I think this is a big reason why. First and foremost, you notice that if you don't keep your finances private, everybody and their mothers ask you for money constantly. And they don't ask you for...
That happens either way.
And they don't ask you, well, people assume you have money, but if you flaunt it, you definitely, they confirm you have money. And they don't ask you for money like you need to buy the Rolex or the Lamborghini. They'll guilt you into it. They need their mother's dying in the hospital. They need to pay for a funeral. Their kid is sick. Like, they guilt you into it, and you almost feel bad not.
A boxing analyst takes a closer look at the surprising financial issues linked to Floyd Mayweather, a fighter widely known for openly displaying his massive fortune. Music. Over the course of his career, Mayweather worked with prominent industry names like Steven Espinosa during his time with Showtime. However, he is currently involved in a $340 million legal case against them, claiming unpaid money. While his longtime advisor Al Heyman is not named in the lawsuit, the increasing number of legal battles has still drawn significant attention. The commentator further suggests that Mayweather's extravagant spending habits may have contributed to his present circumstances, highlighting his large fleet of luxury cars, high-end jewelry collection, and ownership of a private jet.
We are going to go through in this video. Now, I've been covering boxing for double-digit years. Allow me to take you through it. A simple Google search shows Floyd Mayweather. You type in his name, you're going to see some fight photos and whatnot. But the top stories, and there's multiple stories, and we're going to take a look at some of them. But as mentioned, Business Insider is now reporting what you see on the screen, that Floyd Mayweather is being accused in lawsuits of owing millions of dollars for luxury watches, gold, and rent on palatial apartment, right? The bullet points. Floyd was sued for allegedly failing to pay rent on a luxurious duplex.
Expenses linked to luxury properties, costly rental agreements, and unpaid obligations are said to have gradually accumulated, eventually triggering multiple legal conflicts. A couple from Miami who owned a condominium rented by Floyd Mayweather claimed that he had built up nearly $500,000 in overdue rent. According to reports, payments initially came through, but later stopped once attempts were made to collect the remaining amount. Experts suggest that a mix of heavy spending, weak financial control, music, and relying on others for major monetary decisions may have contributed to these challenges. They further emphasize that fame and wealth alone are not enough to guarantee lasting financial stability, noting that even top athletes can run into serious financial trouble if their money is not handled properly.
Represents the 500,000 in arrears plus late fees minus a deposit that Mayweather paid at the start of the lease and the 100,000 catch-up payment. So they deducted what he did submit when he was made aware of this, the 100K, and I guess a deposit. So the remaining balance is that. An attorney for Mayweather did not provide a comment by deadline. He has not responded to the lawsuit in court. In a separate legal matter, so we've already went over one with this luxury condo in Manhattan, right? But a separate legal matter, a Miami jeweler sued Floyd Mayweather last month, alleging the boxer owes more than $1 million for jewelry that he took.
In this discussion, Malik Nagy and Chris Algieri explore the idea that Floyd Mayweather may have run into financial issues even after earning enormous amounts of money during his boxing career. Malik Nagy expresses confusion over how someone at Mayweather's level of wealth could end up with such large sums of money becoming untracked or unclear. He points out that typical luxury buys like expensive cars or high-end watches are relatively small compared to the massive income Mayweather was bringing in. Algieri further explains that at the height of Mayweather's career, even missing or mismanaging earnings from a single fight could create significant financial consequences. When this kind of oversight happens repeatedly across multiple major events, those individual losses can accumulate into much larger and more serious financial gaps over time.
I don't know, like there's guys who have a lot of money, okay? For me, I could go into a jewelry store, spend 20,000 at the time, like nothing. Like, you know what? I didn't plan on going there. I bought a Ferrari. I went with my friend to go check out a Ferrari he was gonna buy. I went there and I'm like, I got this in my account. I could buy this right now. You know, like that. You know, and I'm not saying that's smart. What I'm saying is,
your accountant must have loved you.
Yeah, really. but what I'm saying is, I got good money for that when I sold it. I gotta be honest.
I'm just
the used car market came back at the time. But anyway, what I'm saying is, it could go like that. Okay. That kind of money, but bro, 340 million? Well, that's not Ferrari, but that's a lot of Ferraris, a lot of houses.
But Floyd had a lot of Ferraris, and that's the thing about Floyd. Like, yes, is that way too much money? Yes, that's a crazy amount.
Malik Nagy extends the discussion by linking it to earlier cases, briefly bringing up fighters like Mike Tyson, who suffered significant financial setbacks due to mismanagement and being taken advantage of by people within their circle. Both commentators emphasize that the financial questions surrounding Floyd Mayweather were not something that suddenly emerged long after his biggest earnings. Instead, they imply that recent attention may have been drawn to his financial situation, with someone possibly reviewing or questioning his records more closely. Overall, their conversation highlights a broader point in boxing. Even the most accomplished and highly paid athletes are still vulnerable to financial instability, as success in the ring and massive earnings do not automatically guarantee long-term financial security.
Crack of an entire fight person, more than one fight, multiple fight
at the height of your career.
$340 million. There's nights where you didn't make that much money in a night.
But we heard about stuff like this with Mike Tyson back in the day. Yeah. Big money losses, people taking advantage of him, a number of different things. Now, all that being said and done, 10 years is the point. That is the major point of all of this. Because when you look about this now, 10 years, where does this come from? It makes me think that someone's gotten in his ear. And maybe, where does this come from out of nowhere? Is he going through the books now, 10 years later? No, of course not. Someone else is. Someone else is probably telling him, hey man, this is like this,
so you think it did happen?
I don't know. I think someone, regardless of whether it happened or it didn't, but
that's what I'm wondering.
Unless it's coming out of nowhere, unless he literally is just getting just he's
losing his mind because
there's
a lot of rumors about him losing money, right?
Losing money, being I don't want to say destitute, but the old saying, the mighty.
Boxing journalist Dan Rafael stated that he was not surprised by claims suggesting Floyd Mayweather may have faced financial issues after retiring from the sport. Rafael explained that for anyone who observed Mayweather's career closely, these kinds of problems would not come as a shock, mainly because his spending style was openly displayed for years. He was known for an extremely extravagant lifestyle, regularly showing off private jets, luxury cars, expensive trips, and constant displays of wealth. According to Rafael, Mayweather lived at a level of excess that was difficult for most people to even imagine, and a large portion of it was shared publicly through interviews, online videos, music, and social media platforms.
The fact that Floyd would encounter some financial issues post his boxing career is not in any way a surprise to me. when you see the types of things that, when if you believe anything that he puts on his social media, the travel that he does, the places he goes, and the amount of entourage he has, I mean, that's like a money pit. I mean, whether you're flying on private jets or you're staying at first class hotels, or you're buying expensive jewelry and cars and bags and you name it. I mean, it's all good when you're making those gigantic paydays and they're coming in, a couple times a year. You're making 40 million here and 25 million there, or even more, 100 million plus, when he fought the big mega fights with guys like Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao. But when that stops, that money doesn't.
Dan Rafael goes on to emphasize that spending at this level can almost naturally lead to financial strain. He suggests that even someone with Floyd Mayweather's extraordinary earnings can gradually erode their wealth if spending is unchecked and driven by constant luxury consumption. In his view, Mayweather maintained a lifestyle built around frequent private travel, high-cost purchases, and an overall standard of living that required continuous heavy spending. Rafael frames this as a warning for athletes and celebrities in general, pointing out that high income alone does not protect anyone from eventual financial problems. From his perspective, when excessive spending habits are combined with weak long-term financial planning, it becomes easier to understand how someone like Mayweather could still experience financial pressure despite generating record-breaking revenue throughout his boxing career.
About the 340 million, it just didn't ring true to me, because Al Heyman, who is not named in the suit, but apparently is supposedly part of this problem, whatever. But I mean, I've known Al Heyman and covered Al Heyman's fighters and his business since the day he stepped in boxing in like 2002 with Vernon Forrest. And all that time, and literally in terms of the PBC, a couple hundred fighters that he's dealt with, maybe not personally, but that his team is and his company. To a fighter, you never hear anybody, even when they're retired and they're not with Al anymore, nobody talks bad about him. In fact, if you ask most fighters, they'll tell you how good to them that he has been, that type of money that they've helped him make and the person that he's paid.
Analyst Fannin comments on Floyd Mayweather's recent legal steps, pointing out that following reports of financial strain, Mayweather has moved forward with lawsuits targeting certain former business partners. Fannin notes that although Mayweather is believed to have generated over $1 billion throughout his undefeated career, he is now alleging that a significant share of that money was never fully under his direct control or properly accounted for.
According to TMZ, let's get to the TMZ. Floyd Mayweather sues Showtime, saying, "I'm missing hundreds of millions of dollars." Floyd Mayweather Jr. says he made over $1 billion in earnings over his legendary career, but the 50-0 fighter claims all the money didn't make it to his bank account. He is now suing Showtime, claiming they played a big role in his ex-manager screwing him out of hundreds of millions of dollars. In the lawsuit filed by Floyd in California and obtained by TMZ Sports, Mayweather says he's gunning to recover hundreds of millions of dollars in the misappropriated funds and damages resulting from long-running and elaborate financial
earnings from major blockbuster fights, including those against Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor, were allegedly directed into accounts linked to Al Heyman rather than being fully transferred to Floyd Mayweather himself. Music. It is also reported that when Mayweather's representatives later requested access to Showtime's financial documentation, they were informed that the records were either unavailable or could not be located, raising further questions about possible financial inconsistencies. Fannin points out that this case reflects how complex financial systems in elite boxing can become for top athletes. He explains that depending heavily on outside managers and handlers, especially with limited oversight, music, can lead to substantial monetary losses over time. According to his analysis, Music Mayweather's legal pursuit is intended to recover funds he believes were not properly handled, while also exposing the complicated financial relationships that exist between fighters, promoters, and broadcasting networks in the sport of boxing.
Parties to see whether or not this is something that Floyd should have known about or did know about or maybe did not understand, because it seems very, very funny that Floyd would not know that the money was getting paid to Al Heyman and not directly to him. Regardless, I don't know the outcome of that. I will talk about this though. The absolute blatant karma up in Floyd Mayweather's face for all the smack he talked about Muhammad Ali and how Muhammad Ali's name was only worth $50 million and he sold half of his name for $50 million and how he's made so much more money and that makes him all of that. Talked about how Muhammad Ali, I'm sure, or I don't know if he did, but I'd heard, talked about Floyd. Yeah, he did, because he talked about his money and how he had to sell his name because he...
Whack 100 argues that Floyd Mayweather remains calm and unaffected by outside noise, saying that public criticism and social media discussions don't really influence him, especially since he isn't personally active on those platforms. He explains that a large portion of Mayweather's money is believed to be spread across different financial setups such as trusts, business entities, and investment structures, music, which can make his true financial standing less obvious to the public. From Whack 100's perspective, even if things don't always appear that way externally, Mayweather is still financially stable and confident in his overall position. He also adds that, for Mayweather, wealth goes beyond just money. It also includes personal fulfillment and peace of mind. According to him, Mayweather places strong importance on family life, especially spending time with his grandson, suggesting that his sense of happiness and security is rooted not only in financial success, but also in personal relationships.
On out there, it's phasing him but get to him. He doesn't even control his social media. He doesn't see it. I'm telling you, he doesn't see it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's posting himself. He has someone that
he doesn't see it. He doesn't pay any attention. When I need something done, I have to send it to different channels for it to get done. But no, he's definitely not. I mean, we know that he has tons of businesses going on. They were making accusations that he didn't own the things he owned. You're not going to find nothing in Floyd's name directly. You're not going to find, when you're dealing with that type of money and those type of situations, you know this, Vlad, it's set up. It could be a foundation, a trust.
Yeah, shell companies, corporations, LLCs, whatever.
I know some of these people that they'll say they own 40 different companies, but what it is, they're part of an investment.
And that wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you stick around for the next one so you don't miss what's coming up next.